Hello, everybody. Welcome to Being Healthy. I am your host for the day and joined by an incredible group of inspired individuals, the esteemed co host, which I normally am as well. We're all co hosting today, Pete and Hannah, his lovely wife. And we are also honored to include a guest, Dolores Gill, and she's going to help me pronounce her last name. What's the rest?
Schoenmaker.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I pronounced it right.
Absolutely.
So today's discussion is continuing our theme, which was about transformation and how all of us, I believe, have deaths and rebirths throughout life, periods where everything seemingly ends, that in terms of the world as we know it, whether it's death, whether it's a health crisis, whether it's an ending of a relationship or you've lost your job. We all go through these periods of darkness and we learn to transform back into the light. And so I am grateful for this opportunity to share with you Dolores's journey, my co-host's journey, who are all gifted at really working through change and transformation. So hello, now I can see everybody. So Dolores and I go way back. We met many lifetimes ago, I think, but also in terms of just in terms of a timeline, many decades ago. And her journey is deeply transformative. And I want to start with your story, Dolores, and also to go into Pete. Now I can see Herb as well. I thought it was Hannah, so I could see you on the screen. So forgive me. This is not Hannah. This is Herb. So let's start with you, Dolores, and just if you can tell us all a little bit about kind of your journey and how it all started.
So life is never a straight road. It has a lot of twists and turns, and I also feel sometimes wisdom can drop on you when you're young and you can't do anything with it, and sometimes you're clueless even as you get older. And to all of that, it says that, for me, I've always been guided in a sort of a weird sort of a way that I never knew about it. And the hardest part, I think, was, when I was young and I was repeatedly molested. There was a disconnect, but I would throw up a lot. And I was always really sick. And my parents did not know that the sexual assaults were going on. So they thought I was just a really cheeky kid about always wanting my way, about what I wanted to eat, what I wouldn't eat. And because I threw up a lot and there was problems with food, you begin to take things for granted that that's how you're living life, right? And so I'm in doctor's office with my dad every single week, big bottles of liquid medicines, pill forms. And so I'm in primary school, and the teachers, because I was always sick, wouldn't let me play with the rest of the kids. So while they went and did PE, I would be left in the classroom. So I became sort of a loner. Maybe I was introverted anyway. And so I was pretty skinny, couldn't do a lot of stuff. And here's the duality of life. While I was this put down kid in school, at home, my dad said I could do anything I wanted. So I ran around, despite being sick. I would do things and he would feed me, except when my mom would feed me, she would get frustrated because it wouldn't work. So at 12, at 11, my brother died. He was a marathon runner, a walker, and just a phenomenal person all around. And I wanted to be just like him. So I went to my dad and I said, I want to play hockey. I want to run. I want to do all of the things that Al did. And so, Dad, I'm not going to go to the hospitals with you anymore. I'm not going to take all the medications anymore. And he's sitting there. He said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, I'm just going to be. And I'm going to run more and I'm going to train. Because when I tried out for the hockey team, the coach said, hit the ball. I hit, and he started laughing, and he's like, okay, run backwards for me. I ran backwards for him, run sideways. And he looked at me and he said, you're not ready for the team. He said, you don't have the strength, you can't hit the ball, you can't run much. Like, go work out on your own and come back in a year. In the meantime, I've been off all the medications. This year, I'm getting stronger, I'm running faster, I go back and try out. And the best part about it was, this dude was an ex-RAF pilot, so he don't cut anybody any slack. That's just the way he was, right? So I tried out for the team, I made it, and after that, I was on the A team. We trained with all the boys, not with girls, and we beat every single girl team in Singapore. Every single year, we got the gold medals. I went on to play for college. I played for the ASEAN Games, and then I played at University of Washington. And there, I ended up training with the national hockey players from India. Like, and I get to, at 16, I got to set a record. I set a record for a 3-mile run at 17:05. What I want to tell the audience is there are moments that you are given some impetus in your life, some trigger. Trust it, listen to it, and then go with it, and then tune into your body. Because Gandhi said, and I read his book, and he said, your mind knows all the chemicals that your food has, and it will tell you the chemicals it wants. So when it gives you cravings for certain food, understand that your mind is telling you we need those chemicals. So have you ever wondered, like, why you suddenly have a craving for peanuts? It's possibly that those chemicals in the peanuts are what your body is lacking, and it wants those. And he used to say that he would eat based on what his body was telling him it needed. And over the years, I will tell you that when I've done that, I perform at an extremely amazing levels. Like, I can sleep only 2 hours a day and function at 22 hours at peak performance, at work, at school, whatever I want. Now, I'm not telling everybody to do that, but you have to know also what your body is capable. So I'm going to stop there for a second. I could probably keep going, but from the summary of 12 is that chemicals and medical drugs can make you sicker than whatever they're trying to cure.
First of all, I want to celebrate what your story reveals, and is that when life is going in one direction, when you're being told, and you're young, you don't have a voice, right? But your father felt compelled enough to really honor and respect your voice when you finally said, no, this isn't the path I'm going on. I am not going to be defined by my illness. I'm going to walk into my health again. I'm going to run towards it. I'm going to transform not only the helplessness one feels when they're sick, right? The resignation, all the things that just tell you no, and for your spirit to rise and just say, I'm going to walk into this. I don't know what it looks like. And I think everybody on this podcast and every listener that we have can connect with this story, because it's just a reminder that we are in a story, but we are the authors of the story. And nobody will give us permission until we recognize that we all inherently have to give ourselves permission. And we have to look at the world in new ways. And I would just love to get my co-hosts please to chime in and give me a sense of, because I know they too have been through this journey where they were on a path and it was going one way and their body was telling them, no, I don't want to go that way anymore. I have a new way I want to walk. So if either Pete or Herb would like to please share their journey, I would really love that.
Herb will go first. Yeah.
Here we go. Hi there.
Herb.
That's so inspirational and beautiful to hear your story, Dolores, and your transformation. I can really feel and sense your spirit really shining through, and what powered you through all your ordeals and troubles in life, and for you to overcome and transform that is truly beautiful and inspiring. And I'm really, really pleased to share this space with you. It's really beautiful. And it's very courageous of you, because that's one of the hardest things for most of us, is to go against the norm, and being alone on our own is very difficult, especially without having a network or support. So it's truly, truly wonderful. And I relate to some extent as well. Funny enough, I was talking to Pete today about life, which you've touched on. It's an up and down. Before something new comes into life, something has to be destroyed. So there's destruction for creation. And this happened a few times in my life, like relationships, my health. That's where it really started for me. My health was in total chaos. And that led me on to discovering new things about myself, about diet, looking deeper into that, and then healing myself from that, which led me on to becoming an endurance athlete in cycling. I've become really, really good at that for a few years. And then another destructive path happened in life. I thought I was going somewhere, everything, the green light was on for me, the path was clear for me to pursue this as a career, so to speak. And that came crashing down, and that led me on an inner journey to look inwards and discover more about myself, and go on this path of living on fruit to heal myself. And with that, I discovered so many treasures about myself and about this lifestyle, this way of life. And yeah, I wish to share and inspire others the same, to save them the pain and heartache and all I went through, because I found this truth for me, that living on fruit is the way for us as a species, because you're supporting yourself, you're supporting nature, and it's just a beautiful, harmonious relationship. And ever since then, I've stayed on fruit now for like 7 years, and that's not gonna change at all. I'm here in Morocco as well. It's left me here with Pete, and this is my first time traveling abroad, living as a fruitarian as well. And here I'm like enjoying so much all the beautiful fruits here, feasting on figs and melons. And yeah, it's led me here, and it's opening up so many more paths and possibilities and ideas and creations that we're kind of wanting to align with. So yeah, it's truly, truly beautiful, and I am the most happiest that I've ever been in my life, despite going through these dark times in life. And it's a reminder that it may happen again, fall in a dark place, and know that the light is always there. It's all for our good.
What you shared, Herb, was just so, again, I was thinking about the shared journey that you and Dolores have been on, and I've been on, and Pete has been on. Like, it's moving from not only honoring your body with what you're putting into it, but physically moving, right? Physically moving through life, like how your health isn't just what you eat, but it's also being expressed through movement, which is guiding you through a change, right? So sometimes we think, well, we just eat a healthy diet, but you have to move. You have
It's
to
also
move.
helped me connect. It's also helped me to connect with people as well, connect with others, sharing fruit with people, making connections, and say, oh, this has helped me out on my journey. And they're like, oh, okay. And then you see them eating more fruit and enjoying themselves and changing their health. And yeah,
Right.
it's truly beautiful.
And I want to share something really funny with you,
Of
Pete.
course.
So as I started building my garden, right? The irony of it was when I was growing up as a kid. So my mom had a garden, my dad had a garden. So at 4 years old, they said, well, listen, here's your little plot of land. Like, you leave our little gardens alone. You do whatever you want in your plot. So I planted balsam plants, aloe vera, papaya trees, and stuff. And my dad used to say that he had the best papayas ever from my garden. So I, moved all over the world, lived in different parts of the world, never had a garden, came back here, and I tried 18 different fruit varieties in my backyard. So last year, on your fruit theory, I had a whole bunch of like late fall fruit that wasn't great. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to throw it all in a pot. And I made a shrub out of it. And I got a gallon out of it. And I started doing a shot of it every single day. Well, the acid reflux that was caused by all the chemical medical drugs went away. So this year, last month, I made 2 gallons of it, but I amped it up. I mean, I have blueberries, elderberries, black currants, red currants, whole peaches, whole lemons, neem tree, neem leaves, black currant leaves, and I brewed it all together. And now I'm drinking that. And then I took all the pulp and I made it into a medicinal herbal jam. And then I also took a chunk of the pulp left over and made oatmeal cookies with it. As an experiment, I gave it to a friend of mine, and he called me up 2 days later and said, I have no idea what the hell you put into that. He said, my body feels different. And I think I want to give you guys an insight, and everyone out there listening, understand that the human body is a form that carries chemicals. We are made of blood, which is full of chemicals, water, which is 70% of our body, which carries things like zinc, copper, iron, gold. We have all that in our body. Imagine looking at that piece of fruit, that its composition also has chemicals that are symbiotic with the chemicals in your body. And if you begin to look at every food that you eat, it's an essence of chemicals, good things, that will synchronize with your body. And that's why people who eat a certain type of diet are more well than people who don't follow that understanding of looking at every food and how it connects to their body. And I think that level of mindfulness is what we're all talking about. And I want everybody to start looking at their plate. Not only does it look cool and sexy and great because you've laid it out the right way with the right balance of food, it's also because orange food is going to do some things for you. Red foods are going to do something for you. Blue fruits are going to do something for you. Like, you have to begin to understand that whoever was the great alchemist, the divine energy, had this amazing sense of wholeness that we don't even want to touch and get into. And you and I and all of us are sitting here imparting parts of that wholeness and say, look at your food and begin to understand. If you could eat 2 foods in one day and tomorrow you go, I feel down, maybe those are not the right foods for you. But if you eat 2 foods today and tomorrow you're amped up, you're alive and you're moving and your energy is great, you go, let's make some notes. Maybe spinach is really good for me. Maybe yogurt isn't that great for me. Maybe cheese isn't that great for me. It's begin to understand. Don't care what the preachers are telling you. Listen to the preacher within that tells you, I feel good with this food. Because we have different chemical makeups based on where we're born, what we grew up in, and all of that stuff. So we, like, the Native Americans in America were ruined because of alcohol, because that chemical in rum or tequila or whatever wasn't good for them. Their genetic DNA is not wired to have alcohol. So I think it's important, really, really important, that people begin to understand that we are the sum of all these chemicals, man-made, artificially created, or that comes from the earth. And all of the stuff that we put, beware that even organic food is not organic. That's why I switched to growing my own stuff. And I'm gonna wrap up with one little story. And people in Georgia are not gonna like me. I was in Savannah, Georgia last year. My nephew's wife and the baby. And I went to the Sunday market, organic stuff. And I bought a big bag of peaches, right? Ate them for a few days. It was really good. The baby ate them. Alyssa ate them. I got 4, I brought them home. They were in a brown bag. They got stuck in the back of my refrigerator. You guys, 2 months later, I'm like, what the hell is in this brown bag? I pulled it up. The peaches were intact. Okay. Skin was intact. Wholeness was intact. And I thought, wait, my peaches that come from my yard start to deteriorate after 3-4 days. They turn into this beautiful brown kind of honey liquid that comes out of old fruit. So when I peeled this fruit, it had turned into sponge-like cellulose. You know, when we wash our dishes, that kind of spongy look. And I thought, holy frick, this is not organic fruit. Because side by side with my peaches that kind of turn brown, soft, and start to liquefy, these were hard and whole and intact until you got inside. So I want everybody to understand, you may pay a lot for organic food, but not all of it is organic. Try growing some of your own, 1 tree, 2 trees, little shrubs, it doesn't matter. Like you don't need a lot of land, you don't need to be a gardener, just go out, touch a plant that calls you, plant it and eat it because it will shift the way your body is feeling.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Pete or Herb, is there something that you wanna share with us? Hi. You guys are so cozy.
I am
love
here,
it.
yes. So yeah, Dolores, thank you very much for your story. There's so much to cover there, really. So what I realize, having this platform for people to see that we have, let's just say, embodied through so much known trauma and come out the other end. You know, I'm so happy with my life, you know, and I sort of hold that down in terms of, you know, some sort of sexual abuse, physical abuse, youngest of 6, you know, many stories, but they are stories. And to see people like yourself and Herb and me and Lisa and people having a platform to see people who have come through it, and you know we support each other and really walk in the talk of let's just say keeping a certain light, able to kind of rekindle the light we all once had from birth, you know, and then you see the systematic ways that it's kind of taken away from us. I would say all spirits are harmful to everyone. It allows the spirit realm to come in on a level and growing your own. It's beautiful. We have a garden. We've been growing, and there's some groups around us who do support other people growing their own food, and I'm so on board about that. That you know, whether it's Georgia, but the whole world really need to be more very vigilant about. You know, they call them supermarkets. I call them super morgues. You know, because there's hardly any living food in them places. So and you so rightly as you say, the certification for organic. You know, there's so many loopholes. So to me, it's not truly organic, and you can only really trust your own. You know, I've been 17, 18 years nearly on the uncooked raw food, so-called. I'm going to call it live it, not diet. So, and you know, potentially 80% or 90 maybe would be fruits. You know, what I would say for people, yeah, just incorporate bit by bit. In terms of listening to the body, what I realized until I had done some parasite cleanses in terms of 4 or 5 years, 6 years on in my journey, my connection wasn't that good. So I look back in retrospect and I had to hack the mind a bit because the mind was telling me some wrong things about what I should be eating. So I had to hack many of them beliefs and research and experiment and try. So my first 5 days of being, like I say, 17 years ago, being on that journey, you know, my body was like singing and dancing. And so I did have that connection, but there were some things that weren't totally in line. So as I journeyed, it got more stronger. So it's a bit like the intuition that we have. You know, in the beginning, it wasn't very strong because we can't serve 2 masters. I was serving more one different master to the true authentic self. You could put that down to alkaline acidic in terms of char. You know, acidic really, at that time, I was probably 95 acidic consuming. So really, I'm
So we lost Pete, which I just love what he talked about, that restoring yourself to alkalinity, right? To balance. And so, Dolores, I do want to go into some of the other things that have collectively moved you into where you are now, where you are literally in a living, embodied place that's designed to support you and heal you. That's what your garden is. Like it's to me, looking at it, it's a pure act of self-love. When you give yourself, when you surround yourself with something that is so beautiful and so essential, what we eat. And I think that is the most radical self-love that you could ever have. It's just a living temple. And I wish I had more. That you gave me such beautiful pictures of this garden, and I was only had a chance to just upload a few for this show. But I can only imagine you have 18 fruits or vegetables.
18 different types of fruits that grow on shrubs, vines, and trees.
Wow.
And I don't have a big yard. I mean, people might think it's a huge house and a huge yard. No, it's not. What I did was I leveled it. I used old-fashioned techniques. Like I remember learning about rice paddies that are stacked up on mountaintops in Japan and stuff like that. So I was like, who says I have to have one level backyard? Like I can do, so it's sort of a subtle 3, but obvious 2. And so I've condensed them in, and then I work with an arborist to shrink them and shorten the trees so that I can reach them and plant more.
Wow. So let's go into let's move you in your timeline, right?
Yes,
Now we've talked about the childhood, we've talked about college, and now let's talk about another chapter of rebirth where you go from one identity, one perspective into another perspective.
So I want to circle back to what you said in the beginning, right? Life and death. I think people think that we're born one day and we die one day, but there are pretty more, right? As the French would say, small deaths that happen all along the way. And every time you go through trauma and incidents, there is a transformation that happens if you're tuned in. And every time a part of you dies that you can let go, there's new growth coming in. And so you can become this amazing human being that is born multiple times that accumulates what I call educated or learned wisdom. Meaning that you're not willing to hang on. Like I could hang on to the assaults and I would be a bitter, drunk, alcoholic, drug addict person. But I'm not there, right? Because it happened, you let it go and you move on. And you use that knowledge to see what's happening with your body and you do it. But here's the funny thing, right? So I cured myself from one place, but then I had multiple accidents, car accidents. For whatever reason they happen, every single time I've had to adjust and grow because sometimes there are parts in your life, like having a surgery, there's certain things you can't cure yourself. But when you have surgery, your human body is impacted, traumatized in a way that you don't even know up here what's going on. When they put anesthetics into you, when they cut you open, they peel off your muscles, your bones, your skin, and put metal plates in there and whatever. And then you have to heal after that. Your physical body and the nourishment it gets, the essence of goodness and spirituality that you have, the sense of resilience that you can build up, emotional intelligence, those are the pillars that begin to allow you to get over those small deaths and become an accumulative or collective person built on goodness. Allowing yourself the freedom every now and then to know that you have to take medications, and on the other side of your brain go, I know some of them are going to hurt me for a while, but when I get to the end of the journey, I will do my best to extract them out and remove them out of my body. And that's, I think, another level of healing and awareness that people do not think about. So let me tell you something about what Forbes said. In 2023, a study by Forbes says that self-aware people are 2 times more likely to avoid negativity because they have self-awareness. And that level of self-awareness is what takes you into that place, right? So while marketing throws a lot, oh, let's do the Mediterranean diet, let's do the Japanese diet, let's do the American diet, let's do the Italian diet. No. What you have to understand is what they're trying to tell you is there are components of things that can help you come back from another death that you've had, and that what you put into your body and how your mind is aware and how your heart handles all of that, and then how you take your self body, the physical body, and what you do with it becomes a very important thing. So for example, having a car accident where I was in traction for 2 years, fine and well, couldn't do too much. But after the 2 years, I went into a high grade mode of working out, lifting weights, running. And I will tell you the one thing that was very profound. I worked with a trainer, and he had the running machine in front of a mirror, and he said, I want you to look at yourself. Guys, I'm going to be really honest. It took me over a month to run on that treadmill in front of this full-length mirror to actually look at myself. I could not. And I kept asking myself, why am I not able to look at myself? Because we as human beings from birth are taught to use the mirror as a place to do makeup, brush your teeth, do your hair. But it never says, look into the mirror and look at, and I'm going to do this. Look into your soul. What do you see on your face? Can you see a happy face? Do you see an angry face? Do you see a face that's alive? Do you see a face that's sad? Or do you see a face that's full of pain? In my case, it was a face full of pain. And there were lines on my face, which kind of went away after that. So I started looking at myself when I was running. And I realized, oh my God, my form is off. My arms were not moving in a rhythm because I was compensating my body for my shoulders and the pain in my neck. That was the magic of this wonderful, wonderful person making you look at the mirror of how I healed. And again, within a year of 2 years of the car accident, I went back and did a marathon and placed in the top 500 of 10,000. Not bragging, but I want you to know what is possible. The magic that comes out of you owning your soul, your spirit, your body, your mind, your heart. If I can give you any gift today, it would be to say, own yourself, look at yourself, ask yourself, what do you see? And what is it that I want to change? And then methodically over a period of time, with a bucket full of patience, then execute towards that journey. Patience is like the grandfather that you never had within yourself, or the grandmother. You have to be patient. You have to give yourself that love of patience to say, every step I take will build on the other. So if I'm the bottom of 500 steps, I can't climb 500 steps in a second, take one and be on top. I have to methodically climb one step after the other to get there. And that's what I've learned from all my injuries. I've been in 9 car accidents and I've had 10 surgeries. And every time I've had an accident, I ask myself, what am I not paying attention to? What can I learn from this? And then each surgery, I thought, what am I not doing? What am I not seeing? When I had my 2 eye surgeries, the first question I asked myself was, what am I not looking at? What am I not seeing? And what I realized was, it's private, but that I wasn't looking at things hard enough. I was glossing over things. I was lying to myself about certain things I saw in people, I saw in my bosses. I glossed it all over and I kept punishing myself. It's not fun. It's painful. But that eye surgery woke me up to say, really look at things. Really look at yourself. Sorry. And I began
Nothing to be sorry about. You know what I loved and what was in my head and what was so brilliant. I love the grandfather within or the grandmother within, right? The one that says has lived more time than you, that says they know that patience, child, patience, right? And especially in a society where we're a lot of times in the journey. I have 2 things. Like I believe, and during the death and rebirth process, a lot of times we're living outward. Like when you talk about seeing yourself in the mirror, right? I think a lot of times as a woman, we're taught to look at that person we see in the mirror as what do other people see, right? Putting on my makeup for others, right? Doing our hair for others. And then as you go through life, you start to do it for yourself. I'm expressing my beauty, my own beauty. But an even deeper level is to look at yourself and see yourself, not just as an image, but and not from shame, right? Because I know what it's like when your body doesn't move the way you want it to, right? Because time has, and we could play victim, right? Oh, I'm getting older. We can tell ourselves stories to excuse it. That's just what happens, right? Because the programming in the society is so deep. People connect going through something, whether it's health crisis, with more hospitalization, more pills. That's going to solve the problem, when all it does is it gives you more problems. It gives you more side effects, and it robs you of your agency. I am the creator. Like you said, I'm getting surgery, but what am I not looking at? Because I believe if you don't recognize what you're creating with your health, if you don't recognize that you're the author of your journey, the creator of your journey, which is so much more powerful than being a victim. Tell me what to do here. Show me how to do this. I don't know how to do it. And it's okay to have questions as you go through your journey. It's okay to go to others and seek support, right? But when you own your truth, as you did from a very early age, like I know what people that are older than me, and I don't believe you were a young spirit. I think you were an old spirit from beginning of time, that you knew, like, I know what to do. I know how to treat myself. I can't tell you what that's going to look like, but I do know. And I'm just going to start. And when you look at life like that, it becomes so much more empowering. Like it's a journey, and we are the creative intelligence. We're the author of this experience.
Right. But here's the caveat, right, that everybody needs to know. It can sound really good. I'm sounding really glossy sitting here, but I want people to know I slipped, and then I slip, and then I go back, and then I slip, because we get comfortable, right? when I was working for a large corporation, I'm gonna be really honest, all of us have done that. Money is good, right? Team is good. We're working 14 hours a day and we start to slip. Diet gets a little bad. I might drink a little more coffee. And then I have an injury and I rely on take Tylenol, take Tylenol, take Tylenol. Oh, take some Oxy, right? Oxy is this fabulous drug that every doctor in America will give out. And so I want people to know I'm not perfect. I have slipped so many times. So when I went to a couple of the accidents back to back, and I was in this amazing corporate job and making shitload of money, I disregarded myself again. And this is what happens. I got comfy, life is good, and I'm like, okay, I'll just keep taking the Tylenol and I'll take some of the Oxy. And then after a while, you have gone to a lower level again. Your spirit is at a lower level. Your emotional intelligence also takes a little dive. Your body takes a dive. And then this is where I think that part of self-love and patience says, it's okay. It's totally okay. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't call yourself names. It's all right. Last time I checked, I'm not a divine God, so I'm going to make mistakes. I'm human. And then I start back up again slowly, improving again. I become mindful again, and I say no to the third cup of coffee. Instead, I drink the water. When I go out with my buddies at work for lunch, and I tell myself, I think I'll have the pho instead of the heavy-duty fried foods, right? Then you start doing mindful small steps again, and you build yourself back up again. Sometimes death will show up in your family, and it's not you, right? That's because somebody else out there in your life needs you. And if you neglect yourself because you're being of service to somebody else, it's okay. Let it go. Don't get mad at yourself, right? Like I had to take care of my mom for 3 years. I slipped. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for the world for me slipping, but being there for my mom 10 hours a day to make sure that her journey to her death was more comfortable than my living my monetary world.
It is. You cannot put a glossy paint on transformation, like you talk about. I think, and especially with social media, we show the afters. We don't show, and I wrote about this. We don't show those times where you fall. And I think I used to look at falling, whether it's a crash, whether it's a return to habits that don't serve us, whatever, whether it's, where we go back to who we were. Sometimes what happens if you haven't, what always happens if you don't have an active practice of self-love and is that the shame comes in, the paralysis comes in, the fears come in. And those, I used to fear them, and they are not to be feared. They are actually your body, your spirit sending off an alarm. Listen, child, listen. You can do this. You can be like Dolores. You can look at, I'm on these pills, and I really need to release these because they're not the path that happens as you go on them. We've seen played out, and it's not pretty.
And what a lot of people don't realize, right, that movement, I want to circle back to that a little bit. Like part of my saving graces hasn't just been my food, hasn't been just my Buddhist practice, right? It's also been exercise. And I think going back to that child at 12, the reason why I was able to shift a lot is that sickly child who was then now working out a lot and eating copious amounts of food and drinking, that started shifting the endorphins, right, and the serotonin in my brain. It was lifting my mood. So while at school, my teachers did not want to acknowledge that in primary school, in secondary school, I was blossoming because of the workouts. And I think what I've realized is that exercise creates resilience in the human spirit. That RAF pilot, my hockey coach, who did not take any slacking from us, there isn't a year, there isn't a month that doesn't go by that I don't thank him, because he made me part of who I am. Those 4 years that I coached, that he coached me in my hockey and pushed me to run faster and do all of the military exercises, are what allowed me, as I matured, going through all the accidents, losing my brother, losing my sister, losing a couple of my best friends, losing my parents. All of that gave me resilience. Going to school and working full time, that gave me resilience. And I cannot emphasize enough for everybody out there in the world, find something that you can move with, whether it's dancing, tai chi, qigong, yoga, walking, running, pickleball, whatever it happens to be. But I will tell you, out of all of them, walking ties you to movement and awareness and yoga and God more so faster than all the other exercises. Running to me is amazing. It makes me blink. But walking allows me to wander in my head, wander with my body. And it isn't about just shaping your body. It's about shaping your best self. Movement is a testament to the power of the human spirit. It teaches us, and I'm reading something that I wrote a while back, it teaches us that setbacks are temporary, that perseverance reshapes our limits, and that every change, every challenge holds the potential for transformation. And let's not make the word transformation big. It's not about Boeing becoming somebody else. It's not about Microsoft transforming itself. It's about transforming the coordination between your mind and your heart, your spirit, and your physical body, right? That it's within our own ability and our own sense of trusting in our own ability to rise again. That even emotionally, we shift on the needle when we're working out. And why I think some of the leading scientists are now saying that depression can be lowered through physical exercise. Not the same for everyone, but it actually works. Now I want to tell you guys one little thing, and I hope every single person will really take this to heart, right? There are 4 pillars, and this is a theory I came up with in my 20s, and I didn't find it anywhere else. I didn't copy it from anyone. It came from within, that there are 4 pillars: your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit. And this is how it works. Honoring the heart allows you to become self-aware and break your behavioral patterns. Okay? 2, fueling the mind through the impact of food on mood and mental clarity is absolutely powerful. Strengthening the physical body, right? Exercise is the pathway to building focus and resilience. And 4, the spirit. Restoring your spirit at every breaking point allows you the ability to work, rest with the power of intentional breaks. And here's how it works, right? There are 4 pillars. If every pillar is equal, you are performing at the optimal level of whoever you are, wherever you are. When one of these pillars is shorter than the other, you know the roof will be lopsided, right? Until we shore it up and we go level again. So I want you to build this image of your body as the 4 foundations that build a house. If your 4 pillars are strong and even, you can put an amazing roof on your house, and you're protected from all the storms that come your way. You can keep the rain out, you can keep the snow out, you can keep the heavy sunshine out. So please think of those four, your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit, everything that goes in, everything that comes out allows you to balance yourself. Will you always be balanced? No. But if you maintain the energy to always keep it in balance, you are so close. And the moment you're so close, you're in the magical zone of being responsible for how good of a life that you can live. And Lisa, I think, all of the work that you and your team is doing about really thinking about health. Think about the health of the four pillars. It's not just your physical body, your spiritual body, your mind, your heart. They all make of that. And then within that realm is all the information that you can get and all the communities that you can build, all the relationships that you can build. And one of the magical, wonderful things about learning how to be humble in life is also learning how to be vulnerable. And remember that if you can tell a bad story, you're actually letting go and you're building goodness in your body. So hiding it all inside and packing it in and not talking it out is, I think, what's caused a lot of men and now women to become more dysfunctional internally because we're hiding it. We shouldn't. We shouldn't hide our sad stories, our bad stories, because once you put it out of your mouth and let it go, there is a relief, there is a release that becomes part of you. And when your friends, good friends, give you that open, convergent channel to let it out, right? You become more of who you are and less of what somebody is telling you or imposed on you. To all the men that assaulted me are living a life of lack. Because of them, I'm living a life of abundance. Because the lessons I got from them made me stronger, better person, human, than I ever could have been. So while I didn't like it, I am living an amazing life. I have lived all over the world. I've traveled around. I've got 4 degrees. I have amazing friends in my life. I have an amazing house. Everything else, they couldn't put me down. But I think their life is lacking a lot. Because what they learned with their artificial power of maleness is about self-destruction. And that's why I think it's so important for all of us to understand that not only is it transformation of self, we are in a period of transformation of all of our gender roles and everything else. We should not be putting any gender or anyone down. We all collectively occupy this earth. We all collectively feed each other with the garbage that we grow or with the goodness that we grow. We collectively have to fight for what is right and healthy versus what's wrong and destructive. And it starts with the journey of one. Because Buddha says that the moment you can truly love yourself, there's no way that you will not love others. But if you cannot love yourself, you truly cannot love others. So farmers, architects, teachers, politicians, it doesn't matter. If they all do not love themselves, we end up in a shit pile. And if they all love themselves, we would live in a glowing, magical world. And I'm at that point in my life that I'm going to do everything possible to work from that place of self-love and to go out and preach everyone to begin shifting. Love yourself, eat the right food, do the right thing by your body, move your body. Because if you do, we're changing the world one human being at a time.
It's the ripple effect, right? It's that beautiful. So many times I think we collectively point the finger at somebody else, something that we are raging against because but what the reality is, being enraged renders us powerless and gives that thing outside of ourselves more power. And the invitation, like you said, is to go change you? What is this reflecting back to me? What can I do as a human? Well, I can start by taking care of me. I can start by telling my story. And you're absolutely right. Like, not telling the full story, because when we tell the version of the story that doesn't include all of it, people don't see our authentic self, and we're not being our authentic self. We're pretending that we have to be perfect. No, the less perfect that we are, the more we live our authenticity, the more we share our truth, the more I just had a very powerful moment where I downloaded a story from my childhood and wrote it. And I looked at it and I recognized the through line in my family, the through line in my relationships. And I had originally, as a child, felt like it was because I could feel, I'm an intuitive empath, I could feel everything, right? I could feel my dad's anger even when he wasn't expressing it. I could feel his pain. And I thought it was my job, because I could feel it, to entertain, to be the muse, to be that it was my responsibility to just entertain people out of their pain, right? And so I wasn't acknowledging my own pain. I wasn't acknowledging my own feelings. I wasn't allowed to. I was allowed to be the entertainer. I wasn't allowed to be the one that cried. And this story kept me stuck until I realized that I have a right to share my story now. I'm the one that makes that decision. Nobody's going to give me permission. I have to give myself permission. And another level of healing was me sharing this with my mother, because my protection mode was like, what if this hurts her? What if she feels bad about the fact that this is what I felt in my childhood? What if she feels bad about my father, who's no longer here to tell his story? And it was so beautifully healing to do that, because she could see it and she could feel it and she could understand it. And by doing that, I felt loved and seen. She didn't try to spin it. She didn't try to bring it back to her experience in her marriage. She just loved it, because and that to me is all I needed as a child, and gave me peace to move forward in my life as an adult. So anyway, I just want to really thank you, Dolores, because I know you have many different stories, a lot of stories, and beautiful stories. They're all, I believe, we're given what we can handle, right? And sometimes we get big resets that would drive most people to go, I can't handle this, but we figure out what we're supposed to learn from it. And we become, again, the author of the collective story. And the collective story is healing. So if you can share one last thing, and it has to be brief, we have exactly a minute before we go off air. Please, you have the floor. And thank you for everybody listening as well.
Absolutely.
Anything?
Yes, I think on my closing comment would be, stop, take a breath, create the image of a life that you want, and then let it unfold. Learn how to manifest what's going on, and question the doctors, question anybody around you. It's okay, because the more you ask questions, the more clarity you will get. And living a life with clarity and focus for yourself is the best